Welcome to Road to 100 Million, where we are on a mission to impact over 100 million lives to achieve their dreams. Welcome to this episode of Road to 100 Million, where we are on a mission to impact over 100 million lives to achieve their dreams. Today is another awesome episode of Raw Talks, where me and Jacob are going through our Sunday accountability, keeping each other in check and on track to our goals and dreams. So today we're going to go in, same three questions. I'm going to start off with you, Jacob. So you go ahead. What would you change in the last 7 days?
What would I change? This past week, it was the first week I was in my flow. Well, the first week, since the last call we had, totally course corrected, picked up all the good habits that you told me to do, connected to a mission, and from that flow, what I needed to do was put my time and attention into building my business. What I would do is change not being busy, but more so productive. Just filling in your calendar doesn't mean you're moving forward, right? I look at your calendar. I want to put shit in there every 15 minutes too, but does that serve me? No. And what happened was my business partner, what dark on me for 2 days. He was doing some stuff with his family and just really needed some time alone. And I didn't know what was going on. And I felt like the lifeline of my business was starting to redline, right? It was going deep, and eventually I was just like, shit, what do I need to do? And I felt so naked. I felt so exposed that I didn't know how to accomplish what I needed to keep the business afloat. So what I would change is start really making it a point this week to expand my knowledge and become more of a student of real estate, and not just look up YouTube videos or not just go and be busy, but actually learn stuff. So the next thing I'm really going to do is I'm on Monday.com and I'm building an infrastructure of my CRM from the ground up. So that's something I would change for sure.
Yeah, so I love that because, I definitely called you and you earlier in the week, right? And it was like, oh yeah, I'm watching the YouTube videos, I'm doing this and that, right? And I'm learning about it, and I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. The productive side of it. I'm like the acting,
Right.
and I was like, I kind of mentioned back. And I kind of regurgitated what you told me way back when I was trying to figure out everything on the podcast side and whatnot. You're like, dude, you're good. You're getting into like analysis paralysis. Like you're not actually moving forward. So, then, I tied it back to your calendar as, what does it mean to study, right? To study means to put your attention and intention to create the coincidences that you want, right? What are those coincidences? Yes. You want to get your guys up to the next level so that you can follow. Right. And so it was like, okay, we sat on the phone for like 20 minutes, and then we had a full-fledged like action plan for you now. Right. Where it was like, okay, now I understand, it's not bad to watch the YouTube videos, but if you're just blindly watching them just to watch them, it's not going to do you any good. If you're watching it to educate yourself, right. like now you have a YouTube video that you're going to watch on Monday.com, how to use the entire platform, right? And to use it to better your business. Now that's intentional. That's very intentional now to learn that in order to be able to use that platform, right? So getting very intentional and having your attention to what are the coincidences that you're trying to create. So, I love that was your change, because it was a quick change. As soon as I told you, you're like, oh man, all right, I got to go. I got stuff to do. So it was a good change. But yeah, man, that's awesome. I just wanted to add that.
Beautiful. How about you? What would be something you would change in the last 7 days?
Oh man, dude, this one is like something that I've learned before, and I've continued. Like I was on top of it before. And, I start putting my attention and intention towards the business more. And next thing you know, this starts falling out. But it's my discipline to my sleep schedule and my wind down routines. Lately, I haven't been doing them or haven't been as disciplined because, I've been going 16, 18-hour days and then finishing off at like 9 at night. And then I just have to quickly shower, get to bed like 9:30 to 10 o'clock. Like, I've just had some late calls with some team members that have just needed my help or something, or just, pouring into them. And it's like, sometimes I have to it's based on my values. So it's hard to make those quick decisions of like, my values are to help this person, but also
Mhm.
my values are my own health first, and my own, it should be my health, my own mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health first. So in
Mhm.
doing that, my discipline to my sleep schedule is what's going to make that. Because if I can't stay disciplined on my morning routines, my discipline on my wind down routines and my sleep schedule, then how am I going to ever show anyone
Yeah.
else how to do that? Right. I can't be sad enough to make
Yes.
someone happy. I can't be poor enough to make somebody else rich. I can't be sad enough, or I think I can't be sick enough to make somebody else healthy, right? So it's like
Mhm.
I have to first realize, because at those times when I'm doing that, I'm like, my values, of helping people, right? And that's a part of my
Yeah.
giving. But what
Yes.
does come before that is my own health, right? Is
Mhm.
I got to be healthy in order. If I'm not healthy, I can't help anyone, right? So I got to make sure that I'm always
Yes.
at the top of my own game, and and in doing that, I have to be able to cut off calls, and I'm just, hey, 8 o'clock, no more business. I have an hour wind down of
Yeah.
just where I'm winding down and learning, and
Yeah.
then kind of finishing off my night. And then 9 o'clock, I'm instantly in bed doing my night meditation. Like, that has to be my discipline. And after 8 o'clock, I cannot be doing these
Right.
late calls and blah, 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 whatever, just to try and help and try to do some last minute business. Right. I mean, there's always, the next day to be
Mhm.
able to schedule that stuff, but my health has to come first. And so I think that's something that I definitely would change
Right.
from this past week.
I watched a video on Instagram with Dave Meltzer talking about how he's trying to push a boulder up a hill, right? And
Hmm.
if you don't have that wind down or that warm down, every athlete warms up before every game. But if you don't warm down before you go to bed, you can't build that muscle in the morning, because you're gonna try. You're not gonna feel inspired. Your body's gonna feel like it's attached to the bed, and you won't be able to get out of bed. So speak on that. How David teaches that lesson a little bit.
Yeah, it's called the myth of Sisyphus. So it's, rolling that boulder to the top of the hill every single day. When you wake up and you got to lug yourself out of bed, you got to do all these things that you have to do. You barely push through. You're pushing through the day just to get that boulder up. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're not paying attention to your sleep. So you're not winding down correctly. Like you said, the warm down, getting into sleep,
Mm-hmm.
able to get into your REM sleep and wake up refreshed. Instead, you're rolling that
Mm,
boulder to the top of the hill. You work so hard all day to get that boulder there, and then when you wake up, you're
right.
starting at the bottom all over again. So
Right.
that's what I've been experiencing a little bit of, because I haven't been disciplined to that wind down routine, that warm down of. Now it's like,
Mm,
okay, it's affecting when I'm waking up. The ego and everything else. I have to fight harder to be able to do this. Luckily, I've
mm,
been able to keep
yeah.
my discipline and not zero out my non-negotiables yet. But that
Right.
discipline is the only thing I hold in that there. But besides that, I'm lugging that boulder to the top of the hill right now, because I'm not
Yeah.
paying attention to my sleep schedule.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well
Mhm.
said. I love that way to touch on that.
Thank
See,
you.
for me, the next part of this is the lesson, right?
Yeah. What was your greatest
Um,
lesson?
so I started seeing myself run into some past patterns where they were unhealthy, and it started to cause trauma in my life. And I want to speak on it now, but it's kind of what I was experiencing this week. And
Okay.
it's a projection of what I've had in my own past, that I was looking at someone else's and feeling a certain way, letting my ego, fear, jealousy, judgment, all that shit was getting in and clouding my thoughts. And I couldn't take it for what it was, because my past traumas were reminding me and tricking my ego, saying, hey, things aren't gonna end up the way you're supposed to, or you better watch out. So the biggest lesson I learned is you can't take your past with you, right? In order to get to the next branch in life, you have to let go of the last and look at life and stay centered. And that's what you've taught me, is just staying centered, and allowing things to happen. So the biggest lesson, to echo what I just said, was what just no, do not bring the past with you. Just keep moving forward, and your past doesn't define who you are.
Yeah, let me help you out with that, because basically you were trying to go through the patterns, right? You saw certain patterns from a past view,
Mm-hmm.
from past experiences, like you said.
Yeah.
But what you were doing was, your ego was kind of coming into play when it started foreshadowing what the future was going to look like based on your
Mm,
past experiences and memory. you
yes.
know So now you're looking at the future as, oh, it's going to happen again. And this could happen in anything, relationships, business, or whatever it
Right.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have a bad experience, playing soccer, and next time you go and play soccer, you're
You're just
probably
scared
gonna
of.
have,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe you got hit in the face when you were like 4, and you were just like, I never want to be around a soccer ball ever again, right? Because you're foreshadowing, oh my god, it's gonna hit me in the face again,
Yes.
And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
what you're kind of saying is, don't foreshadow what the future will look like or what the future holds based on your memory or your past experiences.
Huge. That's exactly what it was. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Thank you. How about you? What was the biggest lesson for you?
Let me see. This one's really good. I think I handled this very well. This
Okay.
this past weeks, and it was just detaching my emotions to the outcome. And it was simply I was sitting there, and actually this was yesterday.
Okay.
I think I had about 12 or 13 meetings yesterday. And,
Wow.
so it's a packed full day back to back where I'm just constantly talking to people, trying to help out people. And so, as far as like the results I want from all the calls and then the momentum I'm like building in my business
Mm-hmm.
right now, um,
Mm-hmm.
I like didn't get really the results I was looking for that day, as far as yesterday, the results I thought I would at least get. And
Yeah.
yet I was still like finishing up my night. Like I was cooking some dinner, and, I had my glass of wine, and
Mm-hmm.
I was still like relaxing. And I was just like, oh yeah, this is a good day. And I kind of sat there and I was like, wow, like, so many things like went differently today that weren't planned that I had to redo. And it was just one of those days where you're kind of like all over the place where it felt like, and then, you look back and you're
Yeah.
like, damn, like I didn't get the results I wanted, but I was sitting there and I was still like enjoying my day. And I was like, if this
I
was like
love that.
a month ago, like I would have been here like, oh my gosh, like why is this doing it to me? Like, what am I doing wrong or all this stuff, right? But
Mm-hmm.
instead I kind of just said, okay, I'm just putting in the reps. Like I didn't even think about it, to be honest. Like it didn't even come to my mind like, oh dude, you did all this work,
Right.
nothing came out of it. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
just sitting there like I looked back and I was like, wow, like I just realized like I'm in such a good mood still. And like, I had that kind of day, but it just felt like, good. Like, okay, I put in the work, no
Yeah.
worries. I'm going to do it again tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Each day is
Yeah.
just a new
Yeah.
opportunity to
Yeah.
get it. And so, for me, that was kind of the greatest lesson of like learning it from my own self, where I was just sitting there and I was
Beautiful.
like, wow, like how that's like, it didn't bother me. It didn't like the results didn't bother me. And, there's still those times I'd say between the last week or two that I've felt that, right? Things don't go the right way, or like things don't go as planned. Like the interview I was supposed to have you on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
things didn't go as
Mm-hmm.
planned, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning to control my ego a lot more as soon as those situations arise. It's kind of
Yeah.
like just a move forward, right?
Yeah.
Just instead of focusing on the emotions or whatever it is that I want to feel, there are things that I can't change. I just sat
Right.
there and kind of said, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do I move forward? And
Yeah.
so that was something that I'm getting better at. So it was like a lesson that I learned through myself of after yesterday, after having a jam day, like jam packed day, and then,
Yeah.
looking back like,
Yeah.
okay, that none of that affected me today. Like that's cool. So it was like seeing the improvement
Yeah.
in my own ego there is where I kind of
Yeah.
learned that lesson. So yeah,
Huge.
that was my greatest lesson.
I have one thing to comment on that, just because I love how Alan and Kevin explained this. It's called the consistency flip. He talks about, I think you'll listen to this if you watched our past episode when Andrew interviewed Alan and Kevin. It's pretty much effort in and then results out, and you'll just see what it is. So initially at the beginning of it, at your early entrepreneurial career, you're going to put 10 effort in and you're going to get zero results out. Right? I feel like you're 9-1 right now. You're just starting to hit that threshold. You're starting to slowly build some momentum and get some results, but you have to keep on going 12 jam-packed days, and eventually it's going to go 10-0, 9-1, 8-2, 7-3, 6-4, 5-5. Once you're putting 10 meetings in, 10 results out, 10 meetings in, 10 results out. Eventually it's going to flip where you're going to do 4 meetings in, you'll get 6 results out, and so on and so forth. So you're doing 0 effort in and then 10 result out.
Yep.
Like, we can't catch up to Joe Rogan. He's running laps around us right now. We will not catch up to him because he's been doing it longer and more consistent than anyone in the game. So that's a huge lesson is, for you, just keep putting your head down, realize that you're climbing a mountain and it just takes one step at a time. And over the course of time, you're going to realize, holy crap, when you look up, I'm already halfway up the mountain.
Exactly. And just I love that too, because that's just kind of, I guess that's still looking at the results, but it's looking at it in a way of exponential growth, seeing that factor of,
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen if you just consistently do this. It's like, um, what's going to break a brick in half, right? What's going to split a brick if you just put a drop a day every single day for 10 years, or if you just pour a gallon, right, bucket on it. Like it's not going to do
I
anything.
love that. Holy
That can
fuck, that was good.
that consistency of that one
Oh
drop of
shit.
water is going to eventually get through that, right? Even though it's just one
Mm,
drop. But that 1 gallon or 10 gallons or how much you pour in it, it's not gonna do anything, right? That one time.
damn.
So
Damn, that was actually a fucking fire. I like that one.
yeah, I don't know. That one just kind of came off the top.
That was good. I was like, where the fuck? That was good.
Oh man.
Wow.
Okay, yeah. So what's
Sorry.
no. Oh man, we're jeffing right now. So, anyways, back to but it's sorry,
um,
people. Sometimes we surprise ourselves, and we're just like, wait, that was really.
literally.
So we know that's probably going to be a good clip, and then us just cracking up after. But
Yeah.
back to helping you guys achieve your dreams. Let's go. What was amazing for you?
Oh, amazing. This past week, I'm just coming to realize that the harder and longer you work on yourself, you're naturally just going to raise your vibrational frequency. The books you read, the people you hang out with, we always talk. We always have new information every week that we talk about, which is amazing. But a byproduct of leveling yourself up is you're going to attract a lot of really, really good people into your life. However, there's a flip side to that, an equal opposite. You can't expect to cultivate a business relationship, an intimate relationship, or any of those types of relationships if you cannot vibrate at that frequency. You can only vibrate to a frequency that's equal or less than you. So for me, I was able to see some results with building relationships where I met someone and we were just freaking same level, just like when we met 4 hours straight from that one time we met the very first day, and we just got locked in that restaurant straight 4 hours, didn't even realize the time, and we got locked in the restaurant.
Yeah, and that's
We had to
true
hop over the
story.
fence to get out of the restaurant.
Me and Jacob met up for the first time after talking on Instagram for a few times, and we literally talked for about 4 hours at this like brunch place. And we like before we even knew it, we like looked around and we're like, oh crap, like we're the last people here. And the lady's like, do you guys want your check yet or something? We're like, yeah, we'll take that, but can we just get some more water? She's like, take your time, it's fine. We stay for like another half hour, we're still chatting up, and then we're like, all right, we should probably leave now. We try to get up and leave, and everything's locked. And we're like, how are we gonna get out? We have to jump over the gate just to get out. Like they straight up just locked us in. I think they just gave up on us. But anyways.
Literally. No, that's so just like that experience, I was able to attract someone into my life where we're just vibrating like this, and every synchronicity, the same mindset, approach at life. It's crazy, but it's only because I consistently worked on myself. So if you're out there and you're like, why are my friends losers? And you feel like you need to fire your friends, before you even look around, look yourself in the mirror and be like, what am I attracting? That's true accountability. How do I attract this, and what can I fix that? Answer that.
How did I
What's
attract this
accountability?
to myself, and what am I supposed to learn from it?
Bingo. So yeah, that was amazing for this week.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. It is something that I really started to look at when I started looking at like my past relationships, past friend groups, past everything. And to be quite honest, I used to always say in the past, like, why do I always attract like the crazy girls or something like that? Like, that's what I would always like think about. Like, dude, I always attract like crazy girls. And then I always thought, oh, it's just the girls. It's like, it's them or the friends too. Like, oh, it's them. And I was like, now I see, I'm like, oh crap, I was attracting everything. I was just as bad as they were, So it's like, that's where you're kind of like the bad tendencies you were talking about earlier, the patterns, you're like, wow, like that's like, they were like, I see that now. And like, it's crazy to think about when you start saying, and you take that full accountability of like, how did I attract this? Like, what am I putting out that is bringing this to me? Right. Because same thing, I knew for a fact that, the way we were thinking and the way we were, where our mindsets were at. And, we definitely attracted, each other into our lives because we were
100%.
looking for the same thing. Right. We were seeking to be the best versions of ourselves. We were seeking the knowledge. We were seeking, to really, go far in this game of entrepreneurship. And so
Yeah.
we attracted that, right? And now you're getting some
Mhm.
more relationships just based off of that. And I'm building like even a couple relationships just from some of the past interviews we've had on, some of the people we've met
Mm,
through this industry, like just the fact that
yes.
we're starting to meet more and more and more people. And but not only
Mhm.
that, but it's one of those people. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced where you meet, right? And you talk, and it's not just like a surface level, like, oh yeah, he was cool. After that, you're like, oh my
Mhm.
God, I need to be around this guy more. We need to like we're talking more. Like there's no option. I'm gonna call you tomorrow. you know? And
Yes,
it's just like
yes, yes.
that bounce back and forth is when you find people, and the more people you find that are on the same journey or same path as you, and
Mhm.
the more people you tend to resonate with, and
Yes.
the relationships you build become a lot more meaningful. Because I had a
Mm,
lot of relationships. Like for the past like 4 years, I was hanging out with whoever, wherever, all over. Like I had
yeah.
friends from everywhere that I was constantly
Sure.
seeing.
Sure.
But now the relationships I have are extremely meaningful. Like every
Yes.
single one of them are mean a
Yes.
lot more now, and they have a lot more intention and meaning behind them. So, I
Mhm.
just want to add on to that and say, that's awesome that you're attracting that. So you're attracting, it's almost a
Yeah.
check. Like, all right, no, I attracted something good, so I guess I'm putting some good stuff out.
Yes, absolutely. How about you? What was amazing for you?
uh, uh, I have two things on my list here that I can't pick between. I'm having a hard time.
Hammer it.
But
Hammer it. Hammer it.
I'll start with the first one because it aligns exactly what we were just talking about. But
Mhm.
who we're attracting, the people we resonate. David Carpenter, I had an interview with on Monday.
Nice.
It was such an amazing meeting, and like we're we're both in the same industry, right? We're both
Mhm.
in the financial industry, and he is like, he is just such a leader and such a just genuine guy. Like he is really truly of service and really truly trying to
Mm.
build people, and very
Mhm.
passionate about being of service to people.
Right.
And after hearing his story and everything,
Mhm.
it just reaffirmed me that I was in the right direction. Like
Nice.
I'm like in the same mindset as he is right now, right? And it's just like everything just reaffirmed, like, okay, I'm doing all the right stuff. Because this is a guy who failed failed his license test like 4 times, and then the night before his fifth and last try, when he was dead broke, credit cards all maxed out, had to
Mm.
borrow money from his mom for rent. Like
Yeah.
he got held at gunpoint the night before going, and then had to go the next day because I guess some
Holy
of his friends
fuck.
got robbed, and he was like involved in it. And and
Wow.
they were like holding him
Wow.
at gunpoint, and luckily he made it out. Had to drive an hour later to go take his test. He said he was still shaking, like
Wow.
just to take his
Wow.
test, not even to start the business, just to take it. And I'm like, holy shit, dude! Like you
Yeah,
got kicked in the teeth so
yeah,
many times. So he's like, when I came in, I already.
yeah.
Well, he's like, when I came into the business, I already had the mindset behind like nothing can stop me now. You know, like
Mhm.
there's nothing gonna get in my way now.
Mhm.
I just went through hell and back just to even get this damn license. And then he still continued. Like
Yeah,
he
yeah,
built up an agency to multiple six figures, and then because his own ego got ahead of
yeah,
him, it crumbled down to back to zero. And then after that, building it back up now, and he's making multiple $1 million a year, multiple millions a year.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
after his story, I'm like, damn, like have I even been kicked in the face enough? Like, I feel like to make my story, but like, I need to get kicked again. Like I need to like bring
Yeah,
on something more.
yeah,
And it just gave me such a
yeah.
perspective of not only one, that I'm in the right mindset, I'm thinking of all the right things and have all the right
Right,
intentions,
right.
but the other thing
Yes.
behind it of like, I have no excuses. Like, I have not a single excuse to give. This guy has been kicked and beat like left and right. And that's just one story. There's plenty of stories of successful people out there that went through hell and back. And that's what actually makes it meaningful, right? If it was the
Mhm.
easy story of the guy who just had everything right,
Yes.
that's kind of a boring story. Whenever you watch a
Yeah,
Super Bowl and it's just a one-sided team, it just wins the entire
yeah,
team entire time and completely
yeah,
like destroys it.
yeah,
Usually you're not even watching by the end of it, right? So the thing
yeah.
I was looking at was like, such a good story. A good story has meaning. A good story has everything backed by it, right? That all those adversities and everything, if anyone's facing anything like that right now, make it your story. Don't make it your excuses. Make it the reasons why you
Mhm.
must be, right? Why you have to make it now because everything was
Mhm.
put against you.
Mhm.
That's what makes your story
Mhm.
great. So like I said, make it a good game, right? Put up a good fight and and make sure you're constantly just making it your story, not your excuses.
Tim's story talks about how your mess right now will one day be your message, right? You
Ooh, I
just
like that.
continue to take the kick in the face, all that shit. There's a mess around you currently. There's a huge mess right now. You've had you and I both know each other's stories and our mess. We're not going to talk about a mess right now, right? But when we have the success to back our story up right now, then we'll go out there and tell our message, right? I'm I'm literally writing my book of my life every single day with that intention of, I've already had this much failure and setback, but look where I'm now, knowing that I can actually go out there and create my life. I'm literally at every page you turn, it's just another page. I'm on chapter 25 of my life, and I assume to have over 100 chapters in my book. What does chapter 25 look like for me, right? Is it going to get messy? Is it going to be just highlight after highlight? No, because there's always ups and downs. You can't just keep going up. That's not how life works. It's because there's not every single category of your life is going to be hitting on all cylinders. Your health could be one, your relationships could be one, your business could be one. There's so many things that can go wrong, but how quickly can you just get back up, right? Les Brown says, if you fall, make sure you land on your back. He says, if you can look up, you can get up, right? So that's just echo on what you said. So amazing. And I can't wait to one day hear your message. It's a fucking fire ass message.
Yeah, and it's definitely a good one. And like I said, we're writing that story every day. So, we're putting that pen to paper, and so anything that comes my way, it's just like, all right, that's another reason why I must. It's another reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Like even it kind of ties in with just yesterday, right? Of the, I'm like doing all these meetings, I'm productive as shit all day, and then nothing happens. I'm like, I'm not even worried by it because now I'm having the perspective of like he went through all this. All I did was have a zero strike day where like nothing kind of landed, but it's like, okay, that's fine. And then that's
Yeah,
where the
yeah,
statistical success of where you get better at what you do and everything. And you're just getting better at what you do. So it's
that's
like,
right.
I'm just putting in the reps in. And then as far as like the message and the story and everything, like, we're not like holding back anything. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too afraid to get vulnerable, but it's like, it's a part of like everything that I look back at, it wasn't setups or failures. It wasn't setbacks or failures. It was setups, right? Like everything
Mm-hmm.
was setting me up to where I have to be now. I could look back at all those 12 jobs, right, that I got fired from and look and played the victim and like which I
Mm-hmm.
basically did. I legit
Mm-hmm.
thought I used to have a curse on me where I was like everything kind of takes a shit on me at all times. It was just like as soon as one pillar would go down, it seemed like
Yeah.
everything else would just go down. And that
Yes.
and I literally thought like I had some fucking like curse on me, dude. I was like, what is going
Bad
on?
woo shit on you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, after 12 jobs of like getting fired, dude, like,
That's
come on,
funny.
man.
Yeah.
I like, so it's like, I don't even think those are kicked in the face. It was just multiple times that I just wasn't on the right path, And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
even with Dave, like leaving Dave was not an easy decision to make, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just everything was lining up to get me where I am now, and I truly think now the path that I'm on with Road to 100 Million and my new business with Ed and all those other guys, is something that it was all meant to happen, and it's all happening in the right way at the
Mm-hmm.
perfect time.
I want to, before we stop raw talks, because before we end, I actually want to elaborate a little more on that and ask you a question. How does someone know, right? How does someone know if they're marching to the beat of the wrong band? If they're running down a path that they don't know if they're supposed to be on? How does someone figure out that, oh shit, why am I going this way? Like, and they have an intuition in their heart that this isn't it. What would you speak to someone that's feeling that?
Values and experience. That's the two things I would look at.
Okay.
Right? What are your values? What do you want? What are your personal, your experiential, your giving and receiving values? Because one thing is you have to get
Mm-hmm.
very clear on what that is, right? So you got to understand,
Mm.
okay, those are my values. That's what I want to give. That's what I want to receive. What do you like? Because even when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
like finances and everything else, how much do you want to make? Like what is a comfortable life? You don't have to
Huge.
get up and think about, oh, the millionaire is what's going to get me there, but have a number, have an idea, right? You can't hit a
Mm-hmm.
target that you can't see. So be very
Mm-hmm.
clear on what do you want out of your life. And then I would suggest one thing, experience. Like I always tell you, how are you going to know if you like Oreo cheesecake unless you try it, right? You'd never
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you got to try things. You got to be willing to try and try and try. And
Mm-hmm.
then for me, like Amazon, when I was doing Amazon drop shipping, I spent 3 months studying, right, this course
Mm-hmm.
and building
Mm-hmm.
everything out, getting
Mm-hmm.
the LC structured and getting partnered with Amazon and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
And then I put up the first product. It's sold out in like 4 days. I made a couple $100. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, that was instantly, I realized, okay, this is not what I want to do,
Mm.
because it sold out. And I was like, okay, awesome. I got to go back. And then, I was sitting there and I'm just doing a bunch of product research and doing all this stuff. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
is this the activity that I actually want to be doing each day? I don't look at jobs as a title. Like when I was working for Dave, I don't look at it as like I was a media coordinator. I don't look at it. I look at it the
Mm.
activity that I'm doing each day. What is the activity that your job requires of you each day? Right? That activity, you got to make sure you
Right.
know how to love it. If not, you got to know how to learn to love it. Because that is the activity
Mm.
that you're going to be doing every day. It's not being, that big title. It's what you actually do. It seems cool to be a CEO, but if you looked at their day to day, you probably would say that's terrible. I don't want to do that. Right.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I'll just leave it off at this of like, look at three things. If you're not sure about where your route is, where you want to go, look at three things, right?
Yeah.
Your skills. What skills do you have, right? As
Mm-hmm.
far as, how can you provide value?
Right.
What knowledge do you carry, right? What
Mm-hmm.
knowledge do you have, and how and in the ways that you can use your skills to provide more value? And
Mm-hmm.
what desire do you have? Right? What is that desire? For me, that desire is,
Mm.
really, really helping people. That desire is to build
Yeah.
people. That's just my
Mm.
desire. So that's what I get to do here.
Yeah.
Alongside with the business, my skills and my knowledge, as far as my skills were in media, right? I have all this media
Mm.
skills to be able to create my own podcast. Why didn't I before that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I could have done, like I told you, I could have done this for probably like 2 years. But
Yeah. I
why
know.
why
I
did I
know.
never
Yeah.
start? Right.
Yeah.
And then all my knowledge and peak performance and entrepreneurship and mental development and anything in
Yes.
personal self-help, personal development, like that's the knowledge that I carried. So I realized,
Yeah.
okay, those are my skills, my knowledge, and my desires. And what do you
Yeah.
know? As soon as I get super clear on those and my values of what my personal experiential giving and receiving values were,
Mm-hmm.
I get an opportunity under Ed's team, and
Mm.
everything aligns. And I was freaking out. It was uncertainty, right? Jumping
Yeah.
from David to
Yeah.
Ed, right? I had the comfortable salary and everything, and now I'm going to
Yeah.
a new market, new industry that I've never even touched before, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I kept doing was running through my values, and everything was aligned.
Huge.
Everything.
It did.
And don't be
Yeah.
don't be afraid to be a hypocrite too. I got to add that on. Your values are going to constantly be changing, and they've changed for me time and time again between the 12 different jobs, the 10
Yeah.
different businesses, and now on to now.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I want to echo on that just quickly, briefly. Maybe this will be my 10-second blip because we're running along here. You have to pick your hard. Being rich and being poor, they're both hard. You got to choose which hard you want to have, right? Because being poor and working 9 to 5, and being poor, I'm talking about just minimum wage 9 to 5, 100K, right? That's in my mindset, you're just gonna be working until you die. Maybe retire when you're 65 or whatever. But if you want to be rich and wealthy and have an impact, your life's also going to be just as hard. You think waking up at 4 a.m., working yourself, and having to deal with running a business is easy? It's not. It's far from easy, and it literally teaches me lessons daily. It has to literally, Andrew and I both feel it. You have to get centered in the hour multiple times, right? And because there's so many fires that happen, there's so many things that don't go your way. So what I told Mike is pick your heart. And we're laughing sometimes because I'm like, Mike, your life's pretty hard, bro. You have to go travel to Florida and you have to do this. You have to go to the Beverly Hills for another meeting and you go here, you do that. He's like, I know my life's just so hard. I'm like, I'll let you say that because that's not easy, but just pick your heart. So when you're out there and you're figuring out what you want, vote for yourself, align with your values and pick your heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And I guess I'll touch on and make it my blip. But, I would touch on and say, it's the difference between hard and harder.
Mm,
Hard, or I feel like
ooh, I
the
like
nine
that.
to five is like, I feel like that's the easy route.
Mm,
I feel like everyone thinks, oh yeah, there's gonna be some shortcut to success, and I'm gonna have the best life, right?
mm,
I like to
mm-hmm,
refer back to even Ed. He wakes up, he's one of the top 50 under 50 wealthiest in the world right now, but he also works harder than 90% of the people, on this earth. Like, why? Why does he get it? Why
at
would he
his
work
level
hard at
currently
his
to
level?
this day,
Yeah.
yes.
It's like, why would you work that hard? Why
Mm-hmm,
would you? Well, because, he has his why. He knows his why. He's it's bigger than himself, you know. And so I think,
mm-hmm,
if anything, it's a harder route, but I think there's a lot more pain. Even though we go through a lot of adversities as entrepreneurs, and trying to learn business and everything else as
sure,
far as our ego,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
the pain of never doing it, of never knowing, is going to hurt a
mm,
lot more than anything we could find in this journey of entrepreneurship.
fire, fire.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, boys and girls. Thank you for coming in. Andrew, let's close it out.
Well, as always, I like to thank you guys all for listening in to this episode of Road to 100 Million. As always, all of our contact information will be in the show notes. Reach out with any questions on anything we can give as far as our knowledge, skills, or resources. I would love to, reply to all of you and see how I can help. And with that said, I will catch you guys on the next episode of Road to 100 Million. Peace.